The topic of this lecture is sentence length. Now, in your first drafts, you probably will not pay much attention to sentence length. But in a later stage, you need to edit your text to make it easy to process. In this lecture, I will point out the important do's and don'ts. Now, let's make first some terms clear, so you will not get me wrong when I talk about complex sentences. A simple sentence contains just one clause. I am writing a paper. In a compound sentence, we have two clauses, but they are on the same grammatical level. They are both main clauses. I am writing a paper and I am loving it. Note that both sentences are main clauses connected by a tiny word like and, but, for, so, or, well, there are 7 of them. We will revisit them later. A complex sentence contains of one main clause and one or more subordinate clauses. Like in, I am writing a paper that will change the world. Or, although I'm not sure what it's about, I am writing a paper. Okay, so this is our starting point. Now, sentence length is the most important indicator for complexity of your language. Now, for your intended readership, being higher educated readers, a fine average sentence length is somewhere between 20 and 24 words. When your average sentence length exceeds the 24 words, you should pick up the scissors. Let's have a closer look on how longer and shorter sentences are processed by a reader. Consider this sentence. It's 45 words, so it's quite something. Now, although I think you will be used to digesting stuff like this, I bet it did cost you some brain sweat. I've been working hard on this one and transformed the sentence into 7 short sentences. Like here. Well, of course, I cannot read your minds, but 3 things catch the eye. First, apparently it doesn't help very much to have the message broken down in tiny scraps. Second, the total word count has increased by 15 words. And third, the text now has an awkward flow. Not to say no flow at all. It's just a staccato list of short messages. The original text, which I have been working on, reads as follows. So now you see here the information is packed in 2 blocks, connected by a linking word, our beloved however. Well, works better, right? Apparently, short and long sentences both have their own merits and shortcomings. Let's have an overview. Shorter sentences are more easy to read. They make reshuffling of sentences within a paragraph when you're still working on it much easier. They prevent you from needless mistakes because they are simple. And very important, really not to miss, they give key messages more power. What are the advantages of longer sentences? Well, in a longer sentence, a message or the messages can be displayed in their mutual context, in their relatedness. So you can express and display the related sentence as a whole. Very important. Second, the variety of short and longer sentences offer more harmony, gives your text more harmony. Complex sentences, as we have just seen, enhance information density because you need less words. For scientific texts, very important. And then another thing. Complex sentences containing more clauses allow more detailed expression. Now, let's have a closer look at these pros and contrasts so you can make them work for you. A big plus of a complex sentence is the fact that you can put more weight on a specific part of your message. You can kind of highlight them by your grammar. Now, how? Well, it's quite simple. Put your most important statement in the main clause and put it in the end position. The examples I will give here to illustrate this are taken from Gopin and Swan, their article named The Science of Science Writing. It's available at the website. Look at this sentence. Although Fred is a nice guy, he beats his dog. The author of this sentence offers two facts here. First, Fred is a nice guy. Second, he beats his dog. Now, if you present the two contradictory messages in a structure like this, the most weight is on the final part, the dog beating part. He beats his dog is also the main clause. It is the main clause and it is in end position. So there's very strong emphasis on the second part. The he beats his dog part is more convincing, is heavier. Compare it with this one. Although Fred beats his dog, he's a nice guy. Same information, same facts, but the he is a nice guy part is much stronger here. It stays with the reader longer and carries more importance. This structure is used very often in science writing and it works out fine. You will recognize sentences like these a lot. Here's an example. Although the solution of the Helmholtz equation, blah, 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 at first it looks to be simple, a series of issues hinder its applicability. Now, the second part is more important. It's in fact the main clause, the most important clause, and because it's in end position, it stays longer with the reader. Okay, now we've been looking at complex sentences with subordinate structures. Let's look at a compound sentence. This is the different pattern I talked about before, consisting of two clauses connected by tiny words like and, but, or, yet, so, or for. Fred is a nice guy, but he beats his dog. Fred beats his dog, but he's a nice guy. Well, I think you can see that there's more balance here because both clauses are main clauses. Still, the end position carries more emphasis. It's the more prominent one. So, the good news here is that the use of complex and compound sentences offer you opportunities to signal the most important points in your sentence. So you should try to experiment and play a bit with that. In the use of long and short sentences, the following points are quite crucial. Shorter sentences, as I've stated before, should be the key ones. Topic sentences or real key sentences or bridge sentences. They catch the eye, they stay with the reader because they are short. So starting out your paragraph with a very long sentence obviously is not a good idea. An example of how to do it right. Our results suggest that adherence to the full bundle is important. The key sentence, topic sentence, nice and short, gives a kind of an overview of the paragraph, so the sentence that follow may be longer, and this one is long, it's very long, but it consists of two parts. First, the subordinate clause, given that adherence rate, so the reader feels, aha, the most important point will follow, the main clause will follow in the end. And indeed, we hypothesize that institutional barriers, blah, blah, blah. This is a clear and transparent structure, and we see it a lot. The main clause is in end position here, starting out with we hypothesize. But still, you can consider an even more clear phrasing by splitting this very long sentence in two parts. Start out again with our results suggest that, And then continue with first the background, the supporting information, adherence rates for patients, blah, blah, blah. And then the conclusion, therefore, we hypothesize, start up a new sentence, a new main clause, even more emphasis, and shorter as an end sentence. So the longer, when you write a very long sentence, you should have a real good reason for that. Now there's one important no-go in complex, longer sentences. Do never split subject and verb, because subject and verb, that's a happy marriage and we should respect it. Look at this sentence. Well, you will recognize, I hope, that the smallest of the URFs belongs to or needs to be followed up by has been identified as subject and verb. This is the strict message that should be presented as a unity. Moreover, splitting up this sentence gives you the opportunity to vary the structure of the paragraph, like in these two examples. The first is a pyramid, the second is a funnel. So you can kind of vary the sequence of the messages in your paragraph when you write shorter sentences. Well, okay. Let's wrap it up here. I've listed the most important points of this lecture in this slide, so you can revisit it if you need it. In the introduction of this activity, I have put a list of websites that may help you calculate your average sentence length. And the websites offer additional features to analyze your writing on this level. Well, I hope you will like it, and it will help you to edit your text on the level of sentence length. And most of all, find a nice balance in displaying your most important content for your